we're alive. Let's contrive to confine. Who needs dry land? Who wants wet sand? All I want is you.
And that is the beginning of a relationship between two lovers and alcoholism, frankly. Kelly O'Hara and Brian Darcy James star in the new Broadway musical Days of Wine and Roses, now in a limited 16-week engagement at Studio 54 here in New York. The show, about a couple struggling with addiction, is based on the 1958 teleplay by J.P. Miller, which later became a classic movie featuring Jack Lemmon and Lee Remick. And Kelly O'Hara and Brian Darcy James, who you saw dancing with drinks there.
Dancing and drinking.
Yes. Great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
And congratulations on this play. So, 1958 teleplay, and something I understand the two of you have been working on, or thinking about at least, for at least 20 years or so. What was it about this story, Kelly, that so fascinated you and made you want to pursue it?
Well, you know, we had just done a show together in a similar era, and I wanted to work with him again. I wanted to be back in that era. The subject matter also was very appealing to me as a young actor, wanted to sort of stretch my, myself a little bit. It's sort of our version of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with music, It just seemed something challenging for actors to do, and it's proved right. It's been very satisfying.
So we don't want to give too much away, but tell us about these two characters here. What were we watching there in that scene?
Well, it's a love story, really. It's about two people who fall madly in love instantly, but then they have this added element of addiction, which really wreaks havoc on their relationship. For them as individuals and as a couple. They have to figure out how they're going to deal with this. And of course, in the time that this play is set, the vocabulary and the vernacular of addiction is still kind of coming into focus, and there's not really as much of an idea of how to discuss it and deal with it as we do now. So they're just trying to they're on kind of uncharted waters, really, about how to deal with their problems, which are huge. But at the end of the day, it's two people, I think, who are in love with each other, trying to get back to each other constantly.
So Kelly, on that, the fact that this is a different, you're not performing this in a different time with different vocabulary. But addiction, though, is still such an ever-present struggle for so many people. How do you update that piece of it to today's audiences?
You know what, if you create two human characters, no matter the time, your hope is that a person comes into that room and sees themselves or sees someone they love inside that story and identifies. I know personally, this pandemic was an amazingly powerful time in the world of addiction. I lost a couple of friends. I had many friends get sober. It's a subject matter that we started to talk about more deeply again, I think, at that time. And so it seems very timely now to do this piece. We've seen audience members come and have the most visceral reactions. You'll have someone thanking you, saying, 8 years sober. You'll have someone talking about a family member. You'll have someone sort of offended and needing to leave, that this is, and that's okay. That's what you do with art. You try to make sense of things, and it makes me feel very purposeful to work on something like that touches. I think everybody has a connection.
That's it. The sad reality is there's no one who has not been touched by this in some way. Brian, you guys started with this off-Broadway. It was off-Broadway first, very popular. What's it like to bring it to Broadway, to these big audiences at Studio 54?
It's thrilling. It's a bigger space, so we were wondering how that would translate in terms of the intimacy of a smaller house, and now we're doing it at Studio 54 for only 16 weeks. So we're getting these audiences there that are just as engaged and just as focused on this very kind of intimate story of two people, traveling these troubled roads. But it's been really, really exciting. Of course, Studio 54 has its own kind of mystique and aura about it in terms of maybe some substances were used there. I don't know. I wasn't there.
No,
I'm very young.
Yes.
So no, but it is really, really exciting to be there, and especially to be doing it on Broadway. A piece like this, which is, I think, challenging and asks a lot of not only of the people that are in it, but the people that are coming to see it. And so that combination, I think, is thrilling to have space for that on a Broadway stage.
Well, congratulations. It's getting great reviews. People are loving it. You can see Days of Wine and Roses now until April 28th at Studio 54.